According to the National Electrical Code, specifically Section 760.41c, all smoke detectors in common areas such as halls, laundry rooms, and basements must be interconnected. This requirement applies to apartment complexes to ensure that if a fire is detected in a common area, all smoke detectors in that area will sound an alarm, alerting all occupants. Now, let's consider the requirements for smoke detectors within the individual dwelling units. For new construction or major renovations, the National Electrical Code Section 760.41d stipulates that smoke detectors within each dwelling unit must also be interconnected. This means that if a smoke detector is triggered in one part of the apartment, all smoke detectors within that same apartment will activate, providing an early warning to the resident. Therefore, each apartment must have its own set of interconnected smoke detectors. These detectors should be wired in such a way that they communicate with each other, ensuring that an alarm in one detector triggers all the others within the unit. In addition to the requirements for individual apartments, all smoke detectors in common areas must be interconnected, regardless of whether they are located within apartments or not. This is to provide a comprehensive fire safety system throughout the entire building. It's important to note that local jurisdictions may have more stringent requirements for smoke detector interconnection than what is outlined in the National Electrical Code. It is always recommended to consult with the local building inspector to ensure compliance with all applicable codes and regulations. This is crucial to avoid any potential violations and to ensure the safety of the building's occupants. If the building has existing smoke detectors, they should be inspected and upgraded to meet current code requirements, including interconnection. This may involve replacing older detectors with newer, interconnected models or retrofitting existing detectors to add interconnection capabilities. During the installation process, it is essential to follow the manufacturer's instructions and the National Electrical Code guidelines carefully. This will help to ensure that the smoke detectors are properly installed and that they function correctly. It's also important to test the smoke detectors regularly to verify that they are working as intended. This can be done by pressing the test button on each detector and ensuring that the alarm sounds. In a context of smoke detector interconnection, several technical considerations come into play. Firstly, the wiring method used to interconnect the detectors must comply with the National Electrical Code. Typically, a 3-wire system is used, consisting of a hot wire, a neutral wire, and an interconnect wire. The interconnect wire is used to transmit the alarm signal between the detectors. Secondly, the smoke detectors themselves must be compatible with the interconnection system. Not all smoke detectors are designed to be interconnected, so it's important to choose detectors that are specifically designed for this purpose. Thirdly, the power supply for the smoke detectors must be reliable and capable of providing sufficient power to all of the detectors in the system. This is typically achieved by using a hardwired power supply with a battery backup. In addition to the technical aspects of smoke detector interconnection, there are also some practical considerations to keep in mind. Firstly, the location of the smoke detectors should be carefully planned to ensure that they are effective at detecting fires. The National Fire Protection Association provides guidelines on the placement of smoke detectors, which should be followed. Secondly, the smoke detector should be installed in a way that is accessible for testing and maintenance. This may involve installing the detectors at a height that is easily reachable or using detectors with remote testing capabilities. Thirdly, the occupants of the building should be educated on the importance of smoke detectors and how to maintain them. This includes teaching them how to test the detectors, how to change the batteries, and what to do in the event of a fire. When upgrading or installing smoke detectors, consider the different types available. Ionization smoke detectors are generally more responsive to flaming fires, while photoelectric smoke detectors are more responsive to smoldering fires. Geosensor smoke detectors combine both technologies for comprehensive fire detection. For interconnected systems, it's crucial that all detectors are of the same type and from the same manufacturer to ensure compatibility and proper operation. Addressing existing smoke detector systems in an apartment complex during a rewire project requires a systematic approach. Firstly, a thorough inspection of the existing system is necessary to determine its current condition and compliance with existing codes. This inspection should include checking the age of the detectors, the type of detectors, the wiring method, and the power supply. Secondly, a plan should be developed to upgrade the system to meet current code requirements. This plan should include replacing any outdated or non-compliant detectors, adding interconnection capabilities, and ensuring that the power supply is adequate. Thirdly, the upgrade work should be performed by a qualified electrician who is familiar with the National Electrical Code and local building codes. The electrician should follow the manufacturer's instructions and the National Electrical Code guidelines carefully to ensure that the smoke detectors are properly installed and that they function correctly. Fourthly, after the upgrade work is completed, the smoke detector system should be tested to verify that it is working as intended. This testing should include checking the operation of each detector, the interconnection between detectors, and the power supply. Finally, documentation of the upgrade work should be maintained, including the date of the work, the type of detectors installed, the wiring method used, and the results of the testing. This documentation can be helpful for future maintenance and inspections. In addition to the National Electrical Code and local building codes, there are also other standards and guidelines that may be relevant to smoke detector interconnection in apartment complexes. The National Fire Protection Association, for example, publishes several standards related to fire safety, including standards for the installation, testing, and maintenance of smoke detectors. These standards can provide valuable guidance for ensuring that smoke detector systems are effective and reliable. Furthermore, it's important to consider the specific needs of the occupants of the apartment complex when designing and installing smoke detector systems. For example, if there are residents with hearing impairments, it may be necessary to install smoke detectors with visual alarms or other assistive devices. Similarly, if there are residents with mobility limitations, it may be necessary to install smoke detectors at a height that is easily reachable for testing and maintenance. The selection of appropriate wiring methods for interconnecting smoke detectors is paramount for ensuring both functionality and safety. According to the National Electrical Code, the wiring must be suitable for the environment and installed in accordance with the code's requirements for fire alarm systems. Common wiring methods include using non-metallic sheet cable type NM, armored cable type AC, or electrical metallic tubing EMT depending on the building's construction and local regulations. Regardless of the wiring method, it's crucial to use conductors of the appropriate size to handle the current requirements of the interconnected smoke detectors. Typically, 14 or 12 American wire gauge conductors are used, but it's important to consult the manufacturer's specifications for the specific detectors being installed. The wiring must be properly supported and secured to prevent damage and ensure long-term reliability. Furthermore, the connections between the wires and the smoke detectors must be made using approved connectors and methods to ensure a secure and reliable electrical connection. Considering the power source for interconnected smoke detectors, the National Electrical Code requires that they be powered by a dedicated branch circuit that is separate from other electrical loads. This ensures that the smoke detectors will continue to operate even if other circuits in the building are overloaded or experience a power outage. The branch circuit must be protected by a circuit breaker or fuse of the appropriate size, typically 15 or 20 amps, depending on the number of smoke detectors being powered. In addition to the primary power source, the National Electrical Code also requires that interconnected smoke detectors have a battery backup. This backup power supply ensures that the smoke detectors will continue to operate even if the primary power source is interrupted. The battery backup must be capable of powering the smoke detectors for a minimum of 24 hours in standby mode, followed by at least 4 minutes of alarm sounding. The batteries must be replaced periodically, typically every 6 to 12 months, to ensure that they are in good working condition. When replacing batteries, it's important to use the correct type and size of batteries specified by the smoke detector manufacturer. The maintenance and testing of interconnected smoke detectors are crucial for ensuring their continued effectiveness. Smoke detectors should be tested monthly by pressing the test button on each detector and verifying that the alarm sounds. In addition to monthly testing, smoke detectors should be cleaned regularly to remove dust and debris that can interfere with their operation. This can be done by vacuuming the detectors or wiping them with a damp cloth. Smoke detectors should be replaced every 10 years, or sooner if they are not functioning properly. When replacing smoke detectors, it's important to choose detectors that are compatible with the existing interconnection system. Occupant education is an essential component of any successful smoke detector program. Building owners and managers should provide residents with information on the importance of smoke detectors, how to test them, how to maintain them, and what to do in the event of a fire. This information can be provided in the form of written materials such as brochures or flyers, or through educational programs or workshops. Residents should be encouraged to test their smoke detectors monthly and to report any problems to the building management. They should also be instructed on how to evacuate the building safely in the event of a fire. In summary, smoke detector interconnection in apartment complexes is a critical fire safety measure that is governed by the National Electrical Code and local building codes. Compliance with these codes is essential for ensuring the safety of the building's occupants. A systematic approach to smoke detector interconnection, including proper wiring, power supply, maintenance, and occupant education, is necessary for creating an effective and reliable fire safety system. The legal implications of non-compliance with smoke detector regulations can be severe. Building owners and managers who fail to comply with these regulations may be subject to fines, lawsuits, and even criminal charges. In addition, non-compliance can result in increased insurance premiums and difficulty in obtaining financing. Most importantly, non-compliance can put the lives of residents at risk in the event of a fire. Therefore, it is essential for building owners and managers to prioritize smoke detector compliance and to take all necessary steps to ensure that their buildings are equipped with effective and reliable fire safety systems. When dealing with specific scenarios during a rewire, consider the following. In a situation where the existing wiring is outdated or damaged, it's crucial to replace it with new wiring that meets current code requirements. This may involve running new circuits to each apartment and common area, ensuring that the wiring is properly sized and protected. If the existing smoke detectors are not compatible with interconnection, they should be replaced with new detectors that are specifically designed for this purpose. It's important to choose detectors that are compatible with the wiring method being used and that meet all applicable code requirements. If the existing power supply is not adequate to power the interconnected smoke detectors, it should be upgraded to provide sufficient power. This may involve installing a new dedicated branch circuit and a larger battery backup. If there are any areas in the building where smoke detectors cannot be easily installed, such as attics or crawl spaces, alternative fire detection methods may need to be considered. This could include installing heat detectors or sprinkler systems. Finally, it's important to document all work performed during the rewire, including the type of detectors installed, the wiring method used, and the results of any testing. This documentation can be helpful for future maintenance and inspections. Furthermore, consider the Americans with Disabilities Act, specifically addressing the needs of residents with disabilities. For example, visual alarms should be installed in apartments occupied by individuals with hearing impairments. These alarms use flashing lights to alert residents to the presence of smoke or fire. Additionally, consider installing smoke detectors with lower sound levels or adjustable sound patterns for residents with sensitivities to loud noises. Ensure that smoke detectors are installed in accessible locations for residents with mobility impairments. This may involve installing detectors at a lower height or using remote testing devices. Provide residents with disabilities with information on the operation and maintenance of smoke detectors in accessible formats such as large print or braille. Coordinate with local disability organizations to ensure that the smoke detector systems meet the needs of all residents. Also, consider the long-term maintenance and management of the interconnected smoke detector system. Develop a comprehensive maintenance plan that includes regular testing, cleaning, and battery replacement. Train building staff on the proper procedures for maintaining and testing the smoke detector system. Keep detailed records of all maintenance and testing activities. Establish a system for responding to resident complaints or concerns about the smoke detector system. Periodically review and update the maintenance plan to ensure that it remains effective. Budget for the ongoing costs of maintaining the smoke detector system, including battery replacements and repairs. Communicate regularly with residents about the importance of smoke detector maintenance and testing. Finally, stay informed about changes to codes and regulations related to smoke detector systems. Attend training sessions and workshops to keep up to date on the latest requirements. Subscribe to industry publications and newsletters to stay informed about new technologies and best practices. Network with other building owners and managers to share information and experiences. By taking these steps, you can ensure that your interconnected smoke detector system remains effective and compliant with all applicable codes and regulations. Remember, the primary goal is to protect the lives and property of your residents. The interconnection of smoke detectors is paramount for safety, allowing for a comprehensive and immediate response to potential fire hazards. The system's design and installation must adhere strictly to the National Electrical Code, ensuring a reliable and effective alert mechanism throughout the building.